What's up, YouTube? Chai Tea here. Welcome to my first video. Yeah, I got my boys Eric and Marcus on the channel today, just talking about the mental game and how that can affect your performance when you go out to like these YCS or regional like monthly style of events, and just how your performance gets affected by your mental game, and how improving that can actually improve your play overall. And so yeah, I think that this could be of value to some people out there, or I personally just like listening to people yap while I work, so um, that's kind of another reason to make this video. So, but yeah, welcome to the channel. Yeah, I don't think all my content will be podcast related, but I don't think it'll be that serious either. I definitely just want to have fun with this channel. So, any topics that come to mind, I'll definitely just start posting. And yeah, just let me know what you guys think. Feel free to drop a subscribe. Um, don't like yet. I don't know if you'll like this content. It's literally the first video. So, yeah, sounds good. Enjoy the content. Peace.
What's up, YouTube? I got my boys Eric Shen and Marcus Hayden on my sides here. You guys might know them as Sackphase and Metaphose. What's up, boys?
Hello.
What's going on?
Okay. Yeah. Thankful for you guys to be on my first ever YouTube series that I'll talk about. Yeah, one of it being up above, you can see the mental game of Yu-Gi-Oh. It's definitely something that I've been trying to get better at. I know that it's a part of all the different games I do already play, but like having champs by your side definitely help make that process become a lot easier. So I think I'll just go over what I've learned from both of these great duelists slash friends, and just so okay, yeah, so it'll be a little
Gassing
bit
me up.
yeah, I know. But basically, before we met Marcus, like story time, I guess, is it was me, Eric, and Jason just playing cards, and slowly I would notice him doing some really good technical stuff, just like how did you know that's not bottomless, or how did you know like this, like basically a how to read back row 101 type of class. And so like like scenarios can come up where like you're attacking and then you realize like, oh, if he didn't set mirror force here, or if he set mirror force here, that means he doesn't have deep prison most likely because it's a more value card and stuff like that. And then that helped me level up that level of my game. And then later on, Marcus joined our friend group. I haven't even known Marcus for a year, but it feels like I've known him for a lifetime because he's just too cool. Same with Kevin.
Yeah.
I think it's just been a year now.
Yeah, that's crazy. But he really helped like the mental side of things. So, for some reason I couldn't really learn from Eric's mental side because he's just so like locked in when he's locked in. It's crazy. Like I was like, dude, how are you just like? It's a different type of I think way that you guys both process differently. And I'll ask you, like kind of your backgrounds as to how you guys process things mentally versus like when you how you grew up, I guess. More of the story of how you guys came to be the champions that you are. But yeah, as I was saying, like for Marcus, I learned like from him. I was watching him get sacked out of his mind, and he just doesn't. Nothing phases him. Like for Eric, he's like, "Nice draw, bro," or something like that. He has to have some kind of quip, but Marcus just like never gets phased. On to the next. Like, so I'm asking him like after tournaments, I'm like, "Bro, like, what is like how?" I get so shook to my core when someone sacks me, like especially at like Niagara. Not like I'm not blaming my opponent, but it's just like, dude, what are the odds that they draw the 1 out of 27 or whatever? And then I'm like, could I have played differently in hindsight? Blah blah blah. And like that just fed such a big part into my like mental processing power at the time that I would make worse technical plays as I go forward. So like after round 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I like auto lose almost because of like at some point you're gonna get sacked in a tournament and you have to be able to recover, and that's just something I've been getting better at. But I guess for you guys, like, I guess we can just start with Marcus first since he's on my right here. So how did you come to be so mentally strong in that way, or like what was it like your upbringing? I know you both are athletic, so you both like played sports. You even went to college for sports and stuff like that. Do you think that had something to do with it, or do you feel like it was just because of your experience with card games throughout your whole life?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little bit of a combination of the two. I guess specifically, one of the things that comes to my mind when it comes to being like mentally strong is when I used to pole vault, especially like I know I did it in college, but especially in high school, it's like just you, right? Like you can't rely on anyone else but yourself, and like whatever happens, happens sort of thing. And at some point, I just remember getting to a point where it was like you just have to trust in your preparation, and you know, maybe you accidentally hit the bar and it stays on, maybe it falls off, but it was just like I don't know, if you worry about failure and if you let like, you know, it's a little different than Yu-Gi-Oh because Yu-Gi-Oh it's not all in your control, right? But if you worry about failure, then that's when you start to fail. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, if I'm worried about, being sacked or if I get sacked or whatever, it like if it's out of my control, like it's not something I should be focusing on because that's not going to be what helps me advance and get better. So I just try to like, especially in the event there's another game to be played, like it's one thing if you lose a match and you get tilted. Like I kind of understand when people get that way. But as long as I'm still alive in the tournament, like it does me zero good to like be upset, you know what I mean? Because, typically the people who tilt aren't playing at their 110%. But yeah, I don't know. I just think after like screwing up so much pole vaulting, I just remember at some point, uh, I just thought to myself, like, I just got to trust in my preparation. If I'm constantly worried about like the result and like if I'm going to screw up or uh, my coach used to make this claim that I had a fuck it button in my head. And why I say that is because in pole vault, you're supposed to have like an exact amount of steps. And like if your steps are off, it's not safe to take it up on the pole because that's how people fall back or like snap the pole on their way in or whatever. But he said, I just always took it up, just like even when my steps were off, didn't matter. And I guess it like kind of rang true in the sense that I just trusted my preparation so much that in my head, every time I'm running down the lane to pole vault, I'm always going to hit with all my might, all my ferocity or whatever, to take that pole up. And it's just like trust myself. So I guess that's kind of, I know it's different, but similar in the sense that
Yeah.
just gotta believe in your preparation and know how good you are, and the rest kind of follows. And it's not always going to be your day, and being able to accept that's just part of it, I guess.
Yeah, I think I definitely noticed that when I watch you play is like you're always, aware of the future. Like you're just like I can be tilted later. And I think that was one of the biggest tips that you gave me was after the Niagara run was basically um, you know, it's okay to be upset for the few seconds right after, but you can shift all that anger and tilt just like till after your second loss because that's when you're really knocked out of the tournament. Like the first loss is well, actually I don't know about Time Wizards now, but back then if you can you can still go X2 and top basically as long as you're like X2 in the last round. But yeah, like I think when you said like just shift all that emotion and anger and any like stuff that you feel till after your second loss because like then you're fuming, then you're like I need to grind more, like however your emotions process it at the time, like that.
Right.
Even though it's just like such a small tip that really like mentally helped me like shift any load I had. I'm like I'm just gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh my next 3 rounds or something. And I felt like at the 2 tournaments after that, like the Ultimate Time was I was way more clear, like had way more clarity as far as like the plays I was making. Like if someone sacked, I didn't even care. I was like, okay, let's just go next, next game. And then sometimes that does lurch back and then make me feel a certain way. But I think just
Yeah.
having that tip definitely helped.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have you guys, right? So when I get sacked, like in that moment, I don't have to be like, obviously it's going to be upsetting when it happens, right? But I just know there's so much more Yu-Gi-Oh to be played. And I know the next night at dinner when I'm out with you guys, I can bitch to you guys then about it. But it's not going to do me any good to be mad in that moment while there's still a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh left to be played. Because I notice it all the time. We have friends that do it where they'll be 3-0, then they'll get sacked, and they'll just like complain the whole time after that round is over how terribly they got sacked,
Mhm.
and then they're like 4-3 by round 7, and it's like, well, mentally you're probably not on the same state that you were when you were 3-0, and like, yeah, and I'm sure like they could be playing at 98%, right? Like it might be minuscule, but when you're playing against really good players, that's where the advantages are to be had, like the small mistakes, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, and now I want to bring it back to Eric since I know you didn't get a big chance to talk yet, but like the way you process, I feel like is really different than the way Marcus processes your emotions in the middle of a game. And so, I guess kind of give your background as far as like your sports background, because I know you did sports, and then as well as like, how you grew up and stuff like that that might have affected your mentality growing up.
Yeah, I feel like I've always had the perfectionist mentality
Hmm.
because like and I didn't even think about this until like I talked with Marcus at one point on one of like I'm pretty sure it was us three talking, but like I always thought, you know, if you misplay once, you don't deserve to win the tournament kind of thing.
The
So
chess reference.
what's up?
Are you about to talk about the chess reference that
Yeah,
I gave you?
yeah, because even professional chess players like will quote unquote misplay. Um, but that is my mentality still. Like I guess I accept that it's not like true, but it's still my mentality, if that makes sense. So I don't get tilted when I get sacked because I've just accepted like it's a card game, like you're bound to get sacked. But I do get tilted after the tournament if I misplay. Because that's when I get tilted if I make a misplay because that I can control a misplay. I can't control my opponent sacking the living crap out of me.
Right.
But yeah, but so I actually have a good story for my mentality because like growing up, even now I only play individual sports like badminton, tennis, and it wasn't until college actually, where I started playing melee that my mentality kind of like flipped because like I guess I was always angsty during the individual sports like tennis and badminton matches because I would get sometimes tilted when my opponent like quote unquote sacks me in those matches, but it wasn't until so there's like two or three quotes I have for this or examples. So first, like I would get nervous, and nervous would lead to tilt because if you're nervous and then you do something wrong or your opponent does something like quote unquote lucky, like you get even more tilted in my opinion if you're nervous. So the first thing was getting over nerves, and um, Mango had this thing where he would imagine an ocean. That didn't work for me. That straight up never worked for me. I would try imagining an ocean, like I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? It wasn't until PPMD said that he doesn't play melee to win. He plays melee to learn. And it wasn't until I adopted that mentality that I wouldn't get tilted anymore because then like everything's on me, if that makes sense. So I guess that's why I have the perfectionist mentality because like I just try to do everything I can to control everything I can do. And then there was one match I remember at college at a tournament where I was like feeling nervous where I normally would. And I told myself to calm down and I'm just like playing to learn and I'm just trying to like be stoic and analyze the game. And I got rewarded really heavy in that match for just like playing calm and collected. So after I got that feeling of reward from being calm, collected, and just like not getting tilted, I just like played every match trying to not be tilted because that just rewards you. Like I want to get rewarded, right? Like I want to play these games to get rewarded and I'll play, and that just like you can't do that if you're tilted. There's also this like famous Roger Federer quote where he says like Roger Federer's like one of the greatest tennis players ever, but his point winning stat is only like 54%. So he's saying like on average when you're losing every other point, like basically the point has to be the most important thing in the world, but as soon as that point is over, you have to get over it. So that also like really resonated with me. So although I do think it's funny, I didn't realize I do make those quips about when I do get stacked, but haha.
No, yeah, but I think you're able to like relock in really quickly. That's like the thing with you and Marcus and like any top level player, you can see them like as soon as it hits your like when they say pass to you, like all cylinders are firing, like figuring out the best play at the time, like the reads that you guys are making, like it's like such a different way that when I'm watching the game, I'm like, dude, these guys are literally so locked in. Like you can tell that versus someone that's just like slapping cardboard on the table and like they're just like, ooh, I have, you know, Warwind, blah blah blah, and they're slamming cards, but like you guys are considering like, well, why did he just heavy there? And then like, what are all of my possible responses to that heavy storm, as well as is it like, can I play around anything if I activate a response? And there's just like, it's like a whole flow chart that you guys are all going down, and like you need to do this every single game, every single turn. So like that mentally would weigh down on you, I feel like, but and then like you know yeah, like that's just like such a crazy amount of mental taxation on you that the best players are always doing. And I feel like it's crazy that you have to do that, but you also have to be technically sound at the same time. Like you can't let things bother you, and you have to be technically strong at the same time. Do you guys feel like you are actively like trying to avoid that tilt, or has it become so ingrained into your like competitiveness now that you're just like able to, you know, when they say pass you, you're just able to turn it off like that?
Yeah. So for me, I guess I would be lying if I said I don't actively avoid it. Like I'm human. I feel the negative emotion when like you get sacked or something, right? So I do manually like have to remind myself, I guess, in my head. But in the same breath, it's like because I understand the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've played, thousands of games at this point in my life, like I think that turnaround of like, all right, this happens, like let's continue sort of thing, happens much more frequently and it's a lot easier now than earlier because yeah, it just takes a lot of reps of it happening and now it's kind of becoming standard response for me. But I'd be lying if I said like when you get sacked, like there's not like a hint of irritation or something, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah, there's definitely a hint of irritation, but like for me, I don't really think about it. I only get tilted really when A, I misplay, or B, my opponent misplays like 10 times and I still lose.
yeah,
That's when I get tilted, I guess. But that doesn't really happen too often. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really get tilted. And when you're talking about the like when your opponent says pass,
Mhm.
that doesn't really happen to me at all because during the whole match, even on my opponent's turn, I'm like thinking the whole time.
Mm.
Like I'm
yeah,
trying to get
it
body reads.
doesn't
I'm like
shut
looking
off,
at him.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or like if he
No, I
activates
agree.
anything weird. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
any body language hint, I'm trying to get a
Right.
read.
Them fanning the
Yeah, and
graveyard or anything like that. You're just noticing all the small stuff.
Yep.
and as they're playing, and I'm sure it's the same with you, Eric, but as they're playing, like I'm like, okay, now this is how my play is about to change if they're making this line right
Mhm.
now. And then like maybe they activate a card that like return that like I wasn't sure was set. Like I might have thought it was a possibility. Okay, well now that changes my line again. Now I'm gonna have to do like I'm thinking about that before they pass to me.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like you can't allow that irritation to last more than like a second. Otherwise, that's how you get thrown off your game. And I don't know. It's kind of, I guess what I get what you're saying, Eric. It's not something like I'm actively thinking about while it's
Mhm.
happening, though. It's like I'm too focused on the game, or I guess you guys call it being
Yep.
locked in
Yep. Exactly.
to like
Literally
really be
locked in.
irritated. I think it's more so the sack irritation only happens to me when I get sacked and like immediately lose as a result. That's where the hint of irritation comes. But then if it's not like the match, or if I'm not eliminated from the tournament, I can like instantly turn that around. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Just hearing you guys both respond to that, like you guys have, yeah, that I think that championship level, like mentality, because like that's why you guys do so consistently well. Because when something happens to me, I'll give you my counterpoint is like I'll literally think of, I go straight to the math. I'm like, what were the odds that he just drew that there? And I like think about the deck, and then I'm like, and then I have to refocus in. So that, like to me, it lasts like 10 seconds, maybe longer. I don't know, like while they're still playing out their turn, and like, yeah, like sometimes I've even forgotten to like chain a card because I'm just like like
Mm,
so
yeah.
caught up in the moment where I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like I'm still like thinking about other stuff, and then I'm like, oh, I should have done this to play around, one extra layer of thing. But it's definitely something that I'm trying to get better at, and I think it helped, talking to you guys. And I just wanted to share that kind of knowledge with people that don't get to talk to you guys as openly as I do, and it really helps me out in that way. I think like that pretty much covers what I wanted to say from like a quick deep level into the mindset of what you guys have to share. I think we'll definitely do another one of these just to maybe on different topics or even the same topic just with more questions at the end. But I guess closing statements, I guess if you were to go to your first YCS like I did, which was Nats, like the original Edison Nats, what would you recommend to players that are like first trying to process the whole big thing? Because like it's crazy to be able to like go in there and you're playing and then you realize that you're playing, it's, I don't know, Gigavize or something, and like how do you process that mentally and be like, you know what, it's fine? Or like is it just because you have friends there, or what if you stuff like that, I guess.
yeah. You want to take this one first, Eric?
Uh, I guess for a first timer, I would say to literally just try and have fun and soak it all in and reflect later. I think if you try too hard your first time and try to like overanalyze literally everything, it's not gonna go well for you. Um, and as for the Gigavice thing, I mean, for me, it's really easy to like just mentally check out of that. Like, I don't care. Like, that deck is literally like a better have it or not deck, and if they have it, they have it. Like, so be it.
Mhm.
But I understand it's very frustrating for some players because like they literally can't play the game. Um, it's just my mentality is just like, you play 1,000, like Marcus, you play 1,000 Yu-Gi-Oh matches, right? At least
Sure,
a,
sure.
a tournament is 10 matches. It's like not even 1% of your like total Yu-Gi-Oh career. Like you cannot get tilted by not even 1%, right? So just have fun, in my opinion. Soak it all in later.
Nice.
Yeah. So like something, and I guess it's not even just for first timers. A couple things that I guess I wanted to point out was one, it's okay to be nervous. I'm nervous at every single tournament I go to, and I know Eric's take on being nervous is a little bit different than mine. I think if you're nervous, that shows a sign of how much you care about what's about to happen, right? So when you're nervous, that shows that like, okay, you've probably put in time into this. You probably really care about this. But that's a reflection of your efforts, and that's why you should be trusting yourself so much. So every single tournament and every single high stakes moment, you'll see me. I'm the biggest shaker. I just do it. I like it's a natural reaction in my body, but I have absolute faith in myself. And to go with that, the reason I have absolute faith in myself is not only my preparation, but I've just adopted this mentality of like, you are the main character of your story. You know what I mean? Like you have to believe that you're the main character and that things are going to go the way you need them to go to win. Because obviously, if your opponent draws crazy and beats you, like so be it. But if you fool yourself into believing that that's always going to be you, and you just go in with that positive mindset every single time, it's a lot harder to fall into the negative mindset that follows. So yeah, even when you go in against the Gigavice player, right? Just be like, you know what? I'm drawing oppression. Games 2 and 3. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't. That's
Yeah.
just kind of how my mindset works, because I've noticed so many people get down on themselves and talk about, oh, I always get sad, like, and they focus on that. And it's like, you know what? I'm I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and let's say 2/3 of the time they're talking about maybe they are getting sacked, but like you can control a lot of those. When you get a negative headspace and you were sacked and your opponent draws an above average hand, doesn't mean you can't win that game. Like the amount of times I play against someone who opens Shura Whirlwind, and I find a way to slowly climb back into the game and end up winning. Whereas someone else would be like, oh, he opened Shura Whirlwind, he sacked the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just a difference in mentality, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to
Mental
add
game.
on to that real quick because I'm not saying I do get nervous too. Like there are many times I get nervous. And that's why like I pop off sometimes because I'm like, holy shit, I won. But with that Shura Whirlwind thing, like my mentality is like, dude, Black Wings are obviously going to open Shura Whirlwind on you at some point. Like you can't not get Shura Whirlwinded. But I actually get excited when I get Shura Whirlwinded because you're supposed to lose that game, right?
Yeah,
Like
like
supposed to.
mathematically,
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Like imagine like how good it's gonna be like if you like navigate your way to a win when you're not
Yeah.
supposed to.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I feel like I play better when they open like that crazy on me because I'm like I'm looking for any possible way to win this game because that's like
Yeah.
what makes a good player.
Dude, I think
And a lot of those,
yeah.
oh, go ahead. I was just sorry, I'm gonna make
No,
a
you go,
comment.
you go.
A lot of those games too are like a puzzle of how do I play to get the most lucky? Because this isn't a game I'm gonna win by out advantaging my opponent, but maybe it's correct to like throw caution to the wind and make a play I normally wouldn't make just because the
Right.
ceiling is so high on it. And in that moment, it's like a 10% chance I just steal the game. Whereas if I let it drag out, it's much lower than that. I don't know. I like those games too. I get what you're saying.
I think that's a very exciting like way to think because like it's never exact flow chart like do this every time that you see this board and you'll always do that. Like it's such a culmination of all the different variables that you guys are analyzing at the time versus like risk reward. And so like, like what you're saying about this Whirlwind Shura opening, like now you're looking for opportunities where your next draw, if you draw brain control there with this Kais, then I'm gonna counter this whole board and I can actually clap back and win this whole game. Versus like someone that's just like slamming Kais that turn, not sure if they're targeting Whirlwind or the monster, and like they're not playing to fully of their outs, like all 40 cards in their deck. Whereas like you guys are thinking of like 100% of the outcomes, and then you're like, okay, this is the line, like Doctor Strange-esque or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean
Out of 14 million possibilities.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Literally that though. Literally.
I think that's like something that never gets called out like in this like card game. So it's just something to note. Like sometimes you want to maximize that, and I think we can maybe do another video on this. Just maximize risk reward, and when you're in winning spots, you definitely want to minimize that risk reward. Like you want to make sure like
Right.
I don't want to commit anything anymore because I'm winning. Like this is Eric's like favorite board position is just attack set one pass, or like, then like if opponent does nothing, attack again, pass. Like he
Yep.
loves those, like, never overcommit, because I see a lot of players like, oh, why didn't you just go for game there, or why didn't you just? It's because you expose yourself to risk when you leave your board out there, and stuff like that. So I think just thinking about the game differently in that way can definitely help you improve as a player. And yeah, do you guys? I think that is about 25 minutes, so it's a good amount of content for me. Keeping it short for this first round, and then do you guys have any shout outs you want to give to your channels? I know redos come, like we just had the redo major and stuff like that, so it's your guys' time to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Shout out Metaphos. That's my channel. Doing a lot of redo content. If you guys are interested, we'll still have some Edison on there. Bigger shout out to Chai TCG finally getting on here on YouTube. We've been waiting for this. I don't know. It took him, I guess, winning a giant card. Probably one of the sickest ones to come out to do it, but I'm glad he's doing it.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, why are you guys not liked and subbing to Chai TCG, bro? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, bro.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
If he doesn't have 300 subs after the first video, something went wrong.
Too funny. No, if you guys have found this channel somehow, you'll definitely have found these guys' channels, because they're the biggest names in the space right now. So that's pretty sick to have them here. But I think that's about it. But yeah, appreciate having you guys on, and I will catch you later. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.